Hello, everybody. This is Paul Knapp, and we are coming to you live from the Man Cave. Once again, it is Monday, May 22nd. We got a crowd lined up for you tonight. Can you guys all hear me in the green room there? Robert,
We got it.
Still here?
I'm here.
That's still there. All right.
You're good.
Got a couple announcements for our viewers tonight before we start off with our show. First, I'd like to give some plugs to some channels that I found this past week. Cracktastic Plastic. These guys do a live show like us, and they do some podcasting. A little younger than us, so if you're really into things like, I don't know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and He-Man, things like that, you guys will love these guys, so check them out. Also, last week, Mike's GI Dojo told me about Raw Pain reviews. This guy does reviews just like I do on GI Joes, but he does them just on Adventure Team, or Action Man. Sorry. Mm-hmm. So definitely check him out. And then there's one gentleman up in Canada that I know a lot of people know, but if you're not familiar with him, Brick Mantooth. I don't think he needs our help. He has about 18,000 subscribers, but he's from Canada, and he is the Mego man. So if you're into Migos, Adam, I know you're watching. If you're into Migos, you definitely want to log in and check him out. So
great.
Couple announcements for future. There will be no show next week. Sorry, gentlemen. Sorry. So no show. The 29th of May. It is Memorial Day here in the United States. I'm not sure if they celebrate that in any other country, but in the U.S. it's Memorial Day, so I think a lot of people will be partying and traveling and drinking, so we're not going to have a show next week. We will resume the 5th of June with a special guest. My special guest is already lined up. It is Robert E. Soul, spelled S-O-H-L, a.k.a. Soul Crusher Graphics, if you're familiar with him, a.k.a. Decepticreep VA on Instagram. You got to check him out, man. His pictures and his G.I. Joe pictures, and he's also an illustrator and publisher. He has 3 books out and 3 more coming this summer, starting off with the Jersey Devils. I saw the graphics for that. It looks pretty cool, man. So graphic artist, got 3 books out, 3 more coming, so definitely check him out. So look for him on, June 5th?
June 5th.
June 5th. All right. So future guests I have lined up in June are Second Marlowe, a.k.a. Sean Huckster, as in Huckster Labs.
Yes.
Awesome. Angelo, I think you purchased some of his stuff, haven't you?
Yes.
All right. So Huckster Labs is coming up. And also that guy from Raw Pain Reviews that does the Action Man, he's going to come on in June as well. So tonight's show, we have Austin Hough is coming on. Austin is the chairman and CEO of Power Comics Incorporated. He is located in Illinois. He's going to talk to us about the new Super Joe comic book coming out this year. And he's going to be having it at all the shows, I believe, in Dallas and Atlanta and Kentucky. Speaking of the Kentucky show, I plan on being there, the Kentuckiana. And one special thanks I have this week. Gentleman by the name of Rick Bradshaw. He found me. He saw my last video on my G.I. Joe review. And he said, "Hey, I have that smoke jumper G.I. Joe in a box. Do you want it?" And I said, "Hell yeah, but I'm not paying $5,000 for it because that's how much it was on eBay." And he said, no, he'll cut me a deal. So he did. And it's on its way. So, Rick, if you're watching, I do appreciate that. And I will do a review when it shows up. So,
yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So enough of that. Let me turn on some chats, and hopefully people are out there listening. We got a lot of people chatting. Sorry about that. I just had to turn them on here. All right. Are we ready for some panel introductions?
Oh, boy.
Let's see who I have here first tonight. Let's go with this guy here. If he sits up in his chair, you might be able to see him. He attended Juilliard. He's a graduate of the Harvard Business School. He watched Star Wars Episode 1, the shitty one, 150 times. And if you piss him off, then there's no more soup for you. This is Angelo D'Annabelle.
Yeah.
Evening.
Did you like that, man? The New York no soup for you thing?
No soup for you. Yes.
All right. And this gentleman here, when this guy isn't riding with the Hells Angels, he's saving kittens from trees. At his real job, they call him the Punisher. This man has no vulnerable spots. He could be your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but instead he's really Robert DeCastro.
Woo!
Woo!
Hey guys.
They're getting better, aren't they? I mean, I'm trying.
Oh
we
yeah.
We got to do one on Paul.
Keep it going, man.
Yeah, we
This
got to
guy-
do one on Paul.
This guy's already shaking his head, man. He doesn't want to.
Yeah, I could already tell. I've been here enough time.
Are you still single and disease free from the last?
You know, I should have just stayed as a viewer this week. Would have been better off.
Oh, shit. Dude, that was probably the best one, though, man. All right. This man says he never lies because lying makes you sterile. They say hippies want to save the earth, but he says, no, they just smoke pot and smell bad. If you touch this guy's G.I. Joes, you may have some missing fingers.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate.
This is Mr. Filmaholic himself, Gregorio
Hello.
Salinas.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Telling you, man, it takes me a week to come up with that shit.
Mhm.
I have no life at my job, really. I don't.
Too much
Let's see what we
time.
got here, man. We got a lot of people chatting in.
Yeah, it's very good.
Oh, Mike's GI Dojo.
Mike,
We could have
G.I.
used you tonight,
Dojo.
man. We had an open spot, brother.
That's right,
Big Boss
man.
Jack.
He's always in. Big Boss Jack is the first one every
Okay.
week.
So here's my thing about Big Boss Jack. Either he's stalking us and killing us one at a time, like
Yes.
slowly, because I haven't heard from Jeff and I haven't heard from Pat, and like I'm thinking Big Boss Jack might be stalking. And he,
Big Boss is super fan.
yeah, super
Well,
fan.
Heck yeah. Love him,
there's
man.
Mike.
Austin's here, yeah. Well, Austin's in the green room right now. So
I see Medic Mike.
Medic Mike,
Yes, he is.
Mike.
hey
Mike
buddy,
Bolinski,
Dude.
the man.
Mr. Medic Mike.
How
I
you
have to
doing, buddy?
apologize for last week because we always play a game at the end of my show, but everybody was so into your videos and or talking about everything and all those videos you put up. I totally lost track of time, man. I looked over it; it was already after 9, and
Right.
we didn't get
Yeah, but
to
that
play a
was a good
game,
show.
man.
Better
So
that way. More content.
That was a good
Yeah.
show.
Hmm.
That
it
Yeah.
was a good show, man. Jim Egner's with us. Thank you, sir. Jim, we still got room
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
want to try to
Jim
log back
tried.
in.
Yeah.
So, all right.
try to-
Well,
Come on
let's
in.
go around the room as always. And what is new in the zoo? I'm going to go backwards here since I picked on you the most. What's new in your zoo, brother?
Well, I actually got a huge lot of figures, but I'm still trying to sort it out. But I'll give you a sneak peek. This is one of them that I picked out from that lot. It's basically a blue box figure.
Oh,
And,
wow.
this is my first time owning one of these. I'm actually impressed with the bodies.
I like the head sculpt.
Yeah, it's very detailed for
Yeah.
whatever year this came out. And the
Mhm.
paint application is pretty good as well. So
That's pretty cool.
as I sort through that, I'm kind of working on that video. But I also wanted to take a moment to mention another channel that I found because of the episode on Action Man. I've been kind of getting back into that, but I found a channel called Action Fan, I believe, and he does basically showcases his collection, and I think that's a good channel to shout out as well.
Is it from the UK? From the UK?
Yes, I believe so.
All right, cool. Action Fan.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
From
I'm
what
gonna
I can
write that
remember.
down. Yeah, I like to throw out some plugs for smaller channels. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
Analog Toys needs one more. Or,
Yeah, right.
But,
Is he still mad at you?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
He didn't block me from his channel, but
Mm,
he hasn't returned my phone calls either. I don't know what's going on.
What?
that's a
He
good
doesn't
theme
call.
here.
He doesn't write. He doesn't send flowers. I don't know what's going on. All right, Mr. New Yorker, what's new in the zoo for you, brother?
Well, it's getting down to the end of the school year, and school is ramping up with all the activities. We went to our end of the year field trip last week to Camp Chinjacook, which is in the Lake George area. Had a great time with the kids there. We had friendship games. We went to go visit the middle school. So a lot of things going on with me have been revolving around school and getting ready for the end of the year. Trying to do a little bit as much as I can with the 1/6 scale and GI Joe. I'm gonna put out the part 3 of my little Cthulhu series of photo comics. So that one's coming out tonight in a little bit. But other than that, I'm just trying to keep the household sane. The wife is in Italy. My son's 20th birthday is tonight. He's outside gallivanting somewhere with some women's, which is good. But that's about it.
And your wife's in Italy with her boyfriend? What'd you say?
You could say that she's on a pilgrimage, and they have it's all the Siena friars. So if one of her boyfriend is the friar, so be it.
Maybe.
They like their wine. Those brothers like their wine.
What's new in the Midwest?
Well, here in Nevada, I am getting ready for the Monster Palooza show on June 2nd through the 4th in Pasadena Convention Center.
Nice.
So I was actually busy painting up some figures, but I thought I'd take an hour to help my buddy out here, Mr. Paul Knapp. And
thank you, man. Thank you.
Joining on the fun.
Well, I think you're gonna like this guest tonight. You're an artist. He's an artist.
Oh yeah. I did comic book work, so yeah, I can relate.
Yeah. Michael, thanks for joining us. Gary Curtis, Michael Burke, some of the same names, but that's great. We like seeing you guys every week.
Hey, Gary.
Yep. So my one panel question before we bring on our special guest, my panel question to you guys, and it definitely relates to our guest tonight. What was your favorite comic book growing up? Angelo, did you have one?
Favorite? Well, I'm trying to think. Favorite growing up, Sergeant Rock was definitely up there. Yeah. Sergeant Fury. I know going to the little grocery store we had around the corner, I would always go get some World War II type of comic book. That's when I found in the early 80s was the G.I. Joe comic that came out. My first one ever was number 5 of the Marvel series. Got me hooked back on G.I. Joe then. So, but I think it's got to be Sergeant Rock was my favorite. Like I said, I was really heavy into World War II at the time. My Uncle John fought with the 28th Infantry Division during the Battle of the Bulge in the Ardennes. So there was a lot of history there.
Very cool. GIA in action says Batman. Big Boss says Batman as well. How about you, bro? Have any favorites?
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four? Yeah.
Fantastic Four, because I'm a Jack Kirby fan, and that was the comic book that I was first exposed to, both the comic book itself and the artist. I thought he had like a very unique way of illustrating, and I've been a fan ever since. Plus, like with the comic book, I like the dynamics of the team. They were kind of both like a family and superheroes at the same time. Sometimes you could see them portrayed in like normal situations, like, when they're in the Baxter building and, you got the Thing just drinking coffee, and then, all of a sudden you'll see, Dr. Doom just smashing in through the building, and, you never know what you're going to get, but yeah, Fantastic Four all the way.
Fantastic Four.
Yep.
Did you have one there, sir?
Yeah, actually, I was probably too young to be reading it, but I remember Spawn being my favorite. It was just at the right point where that was, really big. So, I don't remember the story so much as I remember being in awe of the artwork of it. It was so different from whatever was out there at the time. So, Spawn was probably the go-to for me.
Todd McFarlane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just reading what other people are saying. Swamp Thing. Jim Egner.
Yeah. Paul, what was yours?
I kind of shared with a cousin of mine. We went back and forth. He'd buy Spider-Man or Superman. We'd swap back and forth. So I didn't really have like one superhero that I really followed, but it would have probably been those, Yeah. And then I remember like there was comics of like cartoons, wasn't there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like Looney Tunes and things like that. Tom and Jerry. I remember those, man. I was like, I didn't collect them, but I remember reading those ones. So.
Tarzan. I remember. I have some of the old school Tarzan ones that were excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, Disney did a lot too.
Yeah.
Disney did a lot of comic books.
Yeah. Daredevil. Who said Daredevil? Wow. Leonard Toys.
Yeah.
That's another person we're supposed to get on my show in the near future when he's done with Jeff. I think it was Jeff's last guest, wasn't he?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Mike's
neat.
JoJo, Christmas of '87. Daredevil. Commandos. Who said Commandos?
Oh yeah,
Yuri.
Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Swamp Thing. Yeah, I'm just reading back over these other ones. So, all right. Well, since we're talking comic books and we got a comic book guy sitting in the green room right here, I guess I should bring him in, huh?
Bring him in.
Absolutely.
All right. Let me give you a little introduction on this guy. This man lives in Illinois, but only because he's on the Witness Protection Program. The CIA, FBI, and DOD all want him to work for him, but he's so committed to his comic books and my YouTube channel, he has no time for them. This is Austin Hough.
Woo! Woohoo!
Welcome,
What is
welcome.
up, everybody?
Dude,
Thank you for having me.
dude, it is an honor and a privilege. And we've been setting this up for what, 2-3 weeks now, and we finally got you.
At least.
It's awesome, man. Awesome.
Yep, awesome to be on here.
So, you want me just to start off with my questions, or you want to spill your guts about everything?
No, brother, shoot, man. Let's you steer the ship.
All
brother.
right. Well, my first one. How did you decide to write this newest comic? And I have the comic. Unless you have it right there, if you want to show it, I can show it.
Man, the first issue is not done yet. This all started. It was really interesting. Was talking to a buddy of mine who got the trademark and copyright, the licensing for the old Super Joe, Hasbro line. And I was like, no kidding. And he told me how he got it. And Hasbro never protected the copyright or trademark. I don't know why. It's all canon to me. So I would think they would have protected it, but they didn't. He was able to pick it up. And he went out and he produced, or I should say reproduced, factory made Super Joe action figures. And I'm on the phone with him and he's telling me the story. And I had just got done trying to negotiate a deal with another old military toy line that was making its way back. And we just couldn't agree on the logistics of it. And when my buddy Jason from White Elephant Toys called me and said what was going on, I said, hey, how about we do a comic book? And he's like, wow, that's a great idea. I said, what do you want from me for the licensing, rights to do the comic book? He's like, how about some free comic books?
Oh.
And I'm like, sold. You got it.
Wow.
And next thing I knew, we were starting to put together a comic book. So I don't know if you guys know Jason Schiermeyer and Steve Stovall, but they are the guys behind Super Joe Unlimited.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yep. Steve Stovall is the guy who puts on Kentuckiana.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I recognize those names.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
do have a copy of that. I'll bring it up big. I know it's in reverse, but dude,
Yeah, that's the cover.
dude, this is sweet.
That's great, man.
That artwork.
Yep.
Oh man,
So
I
the
want a
story-
copy of that.
The story behind that cover, I'll get all you guys copies of it. No problem.
Oh,
The,
thank you.
The story, just make sure you message me your mailing addresses and I'll get you copies.
awesome.
The story behind that is I'm really big. I love homages and tributes. The Master series over my right shoulder over here, the cover that you're seeing in this big banner that I had produced is a tribute cover to a Batman comic book from 1975 drawn by my favorite DC artist, Jim Aparo. And it was one of those big collector's editions, those big treasury editions.
Right.
And it had Batman on the rooftop and it had Joker and Penguin and Two-Face and Catwoman all in the spotlights. So I took our main character, Black Owl, and had my dear friend Stephen Butler redo this cover. He put Black Owl where Batman is supposed to be, and then put all of the Masters villains in the spotlights. And it came out absolutely splendidly well.
Yeah.
And if you dig that, you're going to dig Super Joe Unlimited because Stephen Butler is going to be doing all of the interior art.
Wow.
Wow.
And if you know Stephen Butler, you know how amazingly talented this guy is. And if you don't know Stephen Butler, you need to go find him on Facebook. Just type in Stephen Butler or Stephen Butler Studios. He is amazing.
Because you sent me some art sample through Messenger. Did he do that?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah,
Robert.
I love that because it was done. It was, I mean, the artwork and the inking, everything is tight, and it almost reminded me of a little bit of Jack Kirby.
The look that we're trying to go for is more of a, and yeah, you're right. Listen, Jack Kirby could be one of his long lost parents. I mean, his style is amazing. The look that we're going for is more of a John Buscema type of a style.
Okay,
which I know works. As soon as I say that, you're going to be like, yeah, Big John. You're right.
That works.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. So just so the folks at home know what we're talking about, here are a couple of model sheets that Stephen Butler has done for the Super Joe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. Just hold those. Yep. Hold that right there. Wow, that is cool.
Yeah, I can see the Kirby crackle up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, Adam's gonna love this because Adam's really into the Super Joe.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Right.
Oh, is that Dark?
So there it is. There's Super Joe.
Oh, is that Super Joe? Okay.
Yeah.
That's Super Joe Commander.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this down and I'm going to show you guys Darkon. You ready for this one?
Let's see it. Oh yeah, there you go. I saw that one. Yeah, you sent me a sample of that. Wow, that is nice. Look at that.
It's like Ming from Flash Gordon.
I was just gonna say that.
John Buscema influence there.
Yeah. Very much so. Very much so. But that's the look that we're going for. And that's how Stephen Butler wanted to take it. Again, Stephen, he's like the hardest working man in show business. I mean, this guy, he is always doing commissions. He is always doing stuff. I think he was just in the middle of doing a run for Archie Comics. He's worked on Sonic the Hedgehog. He's done Superman in the past for DC. He's done Web of Spider-Man in the past for Marvel. The guy is just all over the place. Yeah. And I put his work, especially his cover work. He is so, it's like this intelligent design. It's like you give him an idea and he just takes it and runs with it. It's just amazing the stuff that he does. But I put him up against anybody out there doing commission work right now. He is just spectacular.
Now, how about the coloring? Are you also going to do like old style coloring?
Hey, there's Brad.
Curry, you're there. Can you hear us?
Brad, we can't.
Can you hear me?
We can't hear Brett.
Yeah, now we can. Yep.
I'm here. So.
All right. We got a sixth
person in the house. Right, Brad.
So,
Brad Curry's
with us tonight. Apologize for the delay. A few life things got in the way tonight. So
that happens. It happens.
Yeah.
Glad you could join
going
us.
around everywhere.
So
anyway, did you hear my question?
I did, Robert. In regards to the colors, we are going to go after, we're going to do the old school, like Bronze Age John Buscema type of style.
Oh, yes.
But when it comes to the colors, when I originally posted that we were doing Super Joe Unlimited, I teased everybody with the G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero cover to issue number 4 by Marvel back in '82.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only reason I did that was because our cover is an homage to that cover. The gentleman who created that cover in '84, and I know a lot of you guys know this name, is Bob Hall.
Yes.
Bob Hall did work with us on the Masters. So I called up Bob Hall and I said, hey, how would you like to recreate your issue number 4 of G.I. Joe in '82, but do it with the Super Joe characters?
That's why it's familiar.
That's right, exactly. So he jumped at the chance. He's like, absolutely love it, great, boom, and it's done. And he did it exactly as I asked. I want Super Joe Commander here. I want to make sure we have the helipack in the back and the Rocket Command Center and the Sonic Scanner and the Paths of Danger outfit. We got almost every toy that Hasbro came out on the Super Joe line in '78 on that cover.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's just absolutely fantastic. But getting back to when I originally posted that image from 1982, people on Twitter and Instagram and all my social media, they started going off like, and I did not know that A Real American Hero license was up for grabs. I didn't know IDW had lost it at the time. So everybody's like, oh my God, did you get A Real American Hero? And you better do this and you better do that. And who the hell are you? And blah, 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 all kinds of crazy stuff. And then, of course, I was a troll because they thought I was trolling them with the A Real American Hero cover. I had no idea what was going on behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was just paying homage to Bob Hall's cover.
Yeah. Dude,
no idea all this other stuff was going on.
So
right.
Gary Curtis just texted in and says,
backstory.
Little backstory. And I know there's a backstory on the back of this. I don't want to read the whole thing. Do you want to give them a little taste?
I will, but you know what, man? Stream of consciousness is my strength. So I'm still trying to get to the whole coloring question that Robert had. So with everybody having A Real American Hero on their mind, I thought, you know what? Why don't I reach out to every A Real American Hero artist and creator that I can get a hold of and see if they want to work on Super Joe Unlimited? So out of the blue, a guy who has colored well over 100 A Real American Hero issues for IDW made a post on my Super Joe thread. And I reached out to him. Guy's name is Jim Brown. All right. He has done so much for G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. I mean, you look him up on like Mike's Amazing World of Comics, where you can search by creator. Just type in James Brown, and the list is like zoom.
Wow.
Right? It goes to the ceiling, it drops down to the floor. And I reached out to him, and he's like, hey, man, I would love to do some work with you. I hired him to color the book. So if you love the way A Real American Hero is colored, you're going to love this book, because I just snagged the Jim Brown to color the book.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. He recommended a letterer named Justin Birch, who I don't think I've seen him work on any Joe stuff, but after meeting Jim on the phone and talking to him for a while, I trust his judgment. And then I looked up Justin's resume, saw all of his stuff on his site, signed him up immediately. And then I started going down the list of all the cover artists. You know, Robert Atkins I reached out to. I reached out to Nitho Diaz. I reached out to Freddie Williams, another guy.
Wow.
A couple other guys I reached out to too. I forget the names off the top of my head. I need to look them up. But everybody was interested in doing work. So originally we were going to do this preview comic, and we were going to make about 3,000 copies and give them out at all the big Joe cons this summer. But after thinking about it for a couple of weeks, I thought, my money is better spent in other things. And we decided, hey, we're going to just jump at full board crowdfunding thing on June 8th coming up in a couple of weeks. And we're just going to launch it. So this is really the announcement of our launch of the crowdfunder, which is starting June 8th. So Thursday, June 8th, we're going to start the crowdfunder. And then on June 10th, I'm actually going to be at Joe Fest handing out flyers, letting people know, get online, here's the QR code, and support Super Joe Unlimited. But with that preview comic, Robert, real quick, I reach out to Nitho Diaz and I say, hey, man, you want to do a cover for me? We're doing a special preview issue. You better get that close-up camera ready, Paul, because I'm going to show something.
Yep.
And Nitho's like, yeah, I'd love to. And he's from Brazil. So talking on the phone is pretty much an impossibility. So everything is over, Facebook Messenger or email. I really need to brush up on my Portuguese. I'm just letting you know. So I said, who do you want to ink? And he said, well, you know what? I've got my friend Thiago Gomez. And I said, you know what? I looked those guys up. They did I want to say 8 or 10 covers for G.I. Joe for IDW. And their stuff is just, it's pristine. It's immaculate. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. And he put together these pencils for me. This was going to be the preview issue cover. And since we scrapped the preview issue, what we're going to do is we're still going to get it done and color it and put it together, but we're going to offer it as a bonus digital download if we make certain goals on our crowdfunder. Are you guys sitting down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody?
Wow.
Amazing.
So if you see up here is the guy in the helipack, the old toy.
Yep.
Right. Is
Over here is Super Joe Commander. Let me pull this back. Super Joe Commander.
that Gore?
That's
I
Gore.
was trying to see who's fighting. Yeah.
That's Gore. Oh,
He's fighting
wow.
Gore. And then, of course, back in the day, they didn't give names to our Joe characters. You either had Super Joe Commander White or Super Joe Commander Black.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what we have. And that's going to be the cover of the preview issue.
Okay. Well, now that you've said that, are the Super Joe characters going to have a name?
Well, the Super Joe characters are similar to the G.I. Joe characters from the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't until A Real American Hero that all of a sudden you had Duke and Scarlet and, you know, Sergeant Slaughter and whoever, right?
Yeah.
So we're basing our whole story on the fact that these guys are all clones. Because when the action figures came out, you know, you had Super Joe, you know, with the red hair, with the brown hair, without the beard, with blonde hair.
Mhm.
You know, Mattel did the same thing with Big Jim when they had, you know, Big Jim, Big Josh, Big Jeff, right?
Right.
And then they had the black guy, Big Jack, I think his name was.
Right.
And Super Joe was exactly the same way. And it even says on the packaging, you know, Black Super Joe Commander.
Right.
Super Joe. And then I think they only had 4 human characters, and then they had Gore, Darkon, and then they had the light up guys, Luminos and Shield.
Yep.
Now that kind of reminded me of like Captain Scarlet, like, you know, everybody's like referred to as the color,
Right.
you know, like Lieutenant Green and
Right. Like almost like the guys from Reservoir Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
there you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're Mr. Pink.
Yep.
Why am I Mr.
Mr.
Pink,
White.
Paul?
Yeah.
Right. So we're going with the whole idea that Super Joe is a clone. Now, who he's a clone of, that's going to be the big tale in the story.
Oh,
And I think
Joe
I
like where that's going.
I think people are going to get a really big kick out of it.
I like where that's going.
We've put a lot of thought into this. The original story idea came from Jason and Steve, the brain trust behind Super Joe Unlimited. And they gave me and my sergeant at arms, Scott Pierce, who, I mean, he's just amazing. He's such a creative guy. They gave us this little summary of what they wanted to do, this history of Super Joe. And we're like, okay. And we took it and we ran with it. And that story, the plot summary on the back of your poster, Paul, that's where everything lies. So because when Hasbro came out with Super Joe, it was like they were taking G.I. Joe and putting him in space, right? So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if I have my timeline wrong, but you had G.I. Joe, and then in about 69, 70, they said, let's make him Adventure Team because Vietnam War and all that stuff.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, they took the 12-inch Joe and they shrunk him down to 8 because of things, right?
Yeah.
Oil, plastic, all the costs, everything. And then the next thing you know, that lasted about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, Reagan becomes president. Everybody's patriotic again, America. The next thing you know, they come out with the single greatest action figure line of all time.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind. I never collected a Real American Hero. My little brother, who's 7 years my junior, did. And I'm telling you, that's the greatest toy line of all time. The packaging alone is totally, it's revolutionary, you know?
Yes.
And the only reason why Star Wars is bigger in the toy line than G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, is because they had the movies.
Mm-hmm.
But my God, the articulation, elbows, shoulders, all of the different characters, all of the different accessories.
Yeah.
I just bought this guy off of eBay, and got him in the mail today. He's you know who that is?
Yeah. Blowtorch.
Blowtorch, right? I got the anniversary edition because I'm not a high roller like you, Paul. But I got this for a buddy of mine as a gift because we were out and I was telling him about the Super Joe. And he's like, oh, man, you know what? I used to collect the Real American Hero, and my favorite was the flamethrower guy. So I found him on eBay, and I bought it for him as a gift. And, I mean, the packaging is insane. It's insane, especially on the play sets and the vehicles.
Yeah.
You know, Star Wars, if you think about Star Wars packaging, it was just a photograph of the toy that was inside the box.
That's right.
Hasbro got real artists to draw their perception, their impression of the toy inside the box. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Those are paintings, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. They are.
Yep.
They are. They're absolutely exquisite.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the toys and everything, the Super Joes only lasted for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years at most.
Yep.
And again, this was when they were just all clones of each other. So we thought, let's go and take that clone idea and put it in a comic book, because there's no history to Super Joe anywhere, really. Maybe the collectors clubs did a couple of things here and there, which was great. But, the only thing that I could find was this old thing. Remember how you would join the Adventure Team Club, right? The G.I. Joe clubs?
G.I. Joe Club.
Yeah.
I found an old, like, Mike Triumph letter that was signed by him and also Super Joe that said, hey, we're taking Super Joe to outer space. Have you guys ever seen this thing?
No.
No.
I will message it to all of you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was like right after Adventure Team. It was letting all the kids know, hey, G.I. Joe's still around, but we're going to call it Super Joe. So it was kind of like in that whole late 70s thing where you had Space 1999, Star Trek was coming back in reruns. Star Wars, of course, hit. James Bond went to outer space with Moonraker.
That's right.
So it was all at that time. So it made sense. But the problem is that it just didn't fly. And I think everybody was buying Star Wars. If you guys know anything about Mego, because that's what I focus my collecting on is Mego, specifically World's Greatest Superheroes. I used to collect G.I. Joe and Big Jim and all kinds of stuff.
I think if they stayed with a 12-inch format and then, for Super Joe, I think that could have kept G.I. Joe going.
It could have, or what would have been better is if they immediately went down the 3 3/4.
Yeah, but Mego had Star Trek and they had Black Hole and they had Space 1999. I mean, they were.
They did, but you have to remember, Space 1999 was a terrible show.
Yeah.
It has a cult following, and that's great. The action figures that they made were spectacularly lifelike. Martin Landau was, just perfect. But those came out over in England under the Palitoy label. Black Hole was a terrible movie. It was a pooch.
Yeah.
Star Trek, the motion picture, was a terrible movie. It was a pooch. And if you notice, Mego, which was doing the 8-inch action figures, which was what Super Joe was trying to be, they were like on their way out. The last line of figures they came out with in that scale was in 1976 with the Teen Titans. And those were like an inch shorter than the regular 8-inch to make them look in scale with the 8-inch because they were all the teenagers. They didn't make any new figures after that. I think maybe in that 76 window, they made ISIS because of the Filmation TV show on Saturday mornings.
GIA said Micronauts, they were out before the GI
Right.
Joe. Yeah.
Again, Micronauts, though, were shorter and smaller, I think, than the 3 3/4.
Yeah, they were just below 3 3/4.
Right.
I think.
And then Mego, in their infinite wisdom, came out with Eagle Force, those little tiny metal figures.
Yeah.
So, hindsight's 20/20. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. At the end of the day, everything happened the way it happened. Mego went out of business.
There you go.
Hasbro got out of the Joy game. There you
Which
go,
ones are those,
Brad.
Brad?
Get a close-up of that Brad guy.
Brad, which ones are those? Those are the,
Those are the
Eagle
Eagle.
Force.
Those are the Eagle Force.
oh, the Eagle Force. Yeah.
I just happen to have them sitting here on my desk.
Nice.
We have
Now-
Brad Curry with us tonight. I'm not sure if you're gonna get a chance to talk, Brad, but
Austin, yeah, I'm gonna jump in because I gotta
I
ask
can see the
Austin
wheels
a couple
turning with
things.
you, Angela, right now. Go ahead,
What's
man.
that?
I see the wheels turning in your head,
I know,
man. You got like 1,000
My
questions.
brain
there.
is frying. My brain's frying.
Go
I
for it,
love
man.
listening to all this stuff.
This might turn into a 2-hour show real quick.
Hey,
Go
Do
ahead.
it.
It might. It definitely might. So, Austin, here's the thing. 2 things. One, all the characters you have on the cover of the preview that Paul was showing. Do you have? I know some of them you said it was Commander, White Commander, Black Commander. I see there's a female person on there. Do they have names? And
No.
you kind of alluded to that a little bit. 2, now someone also mentioned in the chat that Cotswold did a couple figures for like 12-inch.
Correct.
So now my question is for you: are you going to hook up with Cotswold to try to have them start to produce and make some of the figures that are going to go along with your comic, and maybe have the comic be part of their sets? Because it would be a great way for you to sell your comics through their sets, like they did old school, that they came with the 12-inch figures. Just a thought.
Angelo, are you looking for a summer job after
Hey.
you're teaching? Because I'll hire you as my agent. Everybody who thinks Angelo should be my agent, raise their hand.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're unanimous.
He's got a little experience with that because he puts together little sets.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I do my sets in my comics. The comics that I create, the photo comics, I then create box sets that go along with, so that you can then recreate that story, similar to what G.I. Joe 12-inch did, the Adventure Team did back in the day.
Right.
So I tried to go that route, and I could see it very much happening with what your comic is and what you're doing, and having, if you hooked up with Cotswold and they were going to produce those box sets to include your comics to go along with them.
You know, if we get to that point, that's going to be a good problem to have. Right?
It would be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So my priority right now, the toy game, the toy manufacturing game is up to Steve and Jason with Super Joe Unlimited. Okay.
Yeah.
They're already working with Greg at Cotswold on all kinds of different things, which are absolutely amazing. If we come up with characters in the comic books that they want to turn into action figures, God bless them. That would be great. I would love it. I love every idea that you have. My number one priority, and I'm focused like a laser beam on this right now, is to get this crowdfunding campaign up and running and to see what the demand is for this comic book. What is the demand for Super Joe Unlimited? Because just because I think this is a great idea and you 5 guys think this is a great idea doesn't mean that there are another 3,000 people that think this is a great idea, which would be really nice to have 3,000 people buying this comic book. It would turn a profit. It would make everything worthwhile. And then we could figure out what we want to do after. Okay, because in our minds, you know, this isn't just going to be a one-shot comic book. It's going to be a, you know, hey, this is going to be a 5-issue story that we can then put together in a graphic novel. And then we have another 5-issue story, or maybe we have a one-off here and there. We'd like this to be a continuing thing, something that keeps going. The toys, that's up to Steve and Jason. I'm focused on the comic books. I love every idea that you just mentioned.
Thank you,
Austin.
Yeah, definitely the razor and the razor blade. You know, the back in the day of G.I. Joe. So yeah, awesome. I wish you
Austin,
all
you're
the
going to be
best.
in Dallas, Fort Worth show or no?
Yeah, that's Greg Brown's show.
Okay, you're going to be there. You're going to be in Atlanta, both ones, or
Joanna.
I plan on being at Joe Fest in about 3 weeks.
How about Joanna in August?
Joanna, the plan is to be there as well.
Then I shall see you. I will see you at Joanna there, Austin.
Awesome.
I'm there.
And also, I plan on being at Kentuckyana.
Well, I will be at Kentuckyana, and this is my chance to get Mr. Brad Curry in here. Austin, you can take a 2-minute break. I got to get this guy on, or his lawyers are going to sue me, he said.
Well,
Mr. Brad Curry.
Hey,
he is an AOA member.
it was great to have you segue into that, because that's really kind of what I was coming on about.
Austin just had to get a quick drink. Anyhow,
it was really talking about the Kentuckiana show.
Yep.
If you are not on Steve's Facebook page for Kentuckiana, definitely get on there and join, and make sure that you're getting all the information. We're starting to put out different previews. I'm going to kind of do some name dropping here with some of the people. There is a huge plan for a lot of us custom makers that are doing stuff for that show. So Greg Brown, of course, from Cotswold, is doing some a show special on premium for it. Doug Fackel is doing the box art and the boxes for it. Matt Stevenson, if you guys know Matt, is also doing some specials for that particular show, as well as Steve. And Turl Aspie, also he does the really nice scuba suits and other stuff. He's done some really great work. He's doing some things for the Kentuckiana show. And just as a preview, I can't tell you a lot more about this. We're just kind of giving some blips here. Something that has been working on and being worked on for that. Of course,
move it
it's a
more where the
secret
chat's.
mission to Spy Island.
Can you
So
move it
I'm
more
sorry.
to your left, right? There you
go. Can you see it all right?
Nope, a little bit further. A little bit further.
No.
Yep, right there.
There
Right
you
there.
go.
There you go.
Wow.
All right. Just to give you a little bit of a preview of some of the things that are going on. This it's pretty much finalized, but hasn't gone into full production yet. So there are a few things there. So there's several different promo sets that are going to be part of this. Now, I don't know. Can I share my screen?
I can't from here. I don't know if you can just hold something, but
well, I've got a CAD drawing. There is a share screen, and do you know what that share screen button is?
Yeah, but it only private chat. It's not going to come up.
It's not going to come up in there.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'll send you a picture of the.
All right, we'll do a promo for it. Yep.
So that you can kind of put it on there. So I'll do that when we break in. But basically, we're kind of bringing back some of the old toy show activities from back in the 1990s. So I shouldn't say we're bringing back. Joe Lana has been doing dioramas and stuff for quite a while. We're going to have the plans are to have a nice diorama of the Spy Island in the 12-inch scale there at that. Hopefully I'll be able to get that built, and I'm still trying to figure out the logistics on how to get it from Central Illinois to Louisville. But so basically there's a lot of stuff going on for the Louisville, Kentuckiana G.I. Joe show. So you definitely want to start to pay attention as we put out different blurbs on what we're doing and some of the different things that are going to be going along with that particular show. Steve, you guys have already mentioned Steve. He's behind Super Joe, the action figures that are coming out. I've got a couple of those myself. I kind of look at Super Joe along the same lines of Bullet Man and Mike Powers back in the 1990s. Nobody was paying any attention to him and could care less about him. Then Buddy Finethy and a lot of there was a group of guys that kind of came up with the defense of Bullet Man, and they kind of made Bullet Man popular, where you used to be able to buy a Bullet Man for like $25 complete. Now a loose one with all of his stuff's going to run you $250, and that's pretty much because of and the defense of Bullet Man that have kind of brought that back, and now Steve's doing it with the same thing with Super Joe. So who knows? I've been Super Joe. I will show you. That's my original Super Joe from when I was a kid, and that's my original Gore from when I was a kid. So
Austin, you see those?
I can see them.
So
right
that was.
Face.
Love it.
I've been into Super Joe for quite a while. Unfortunately, they break so daggone, or those rubber bands kind of gave out so easy. So. Kentuckiana, all of these shows, Greg Brown's show down in Dallas, Joe Lana in August. I'll be at Joe Lana in August too. I'm not going to be able to make Greg's show in Dallas, but so between Kentuckiana and Joe Lana this year, those are the ones that I'll be at. But definitely pay attention to what's going on. There are a lot of creators that are making some really cool stuff and putting stuff out there for not just the 12-inch market. I mean, the 12-inch now, of course, Super Joe, with the 8 and 9-inch line, and of course the classified 6-inch line. I mean, I'm seeing all sorts of guys doing all sorts of stuff with that too. Back 3 years ago, you could probably count on one hand guys like Jim Egder, myself, a couple others that were actually doing the 3D printing for this hobby. Nowadays, I see like there's like 75 or 80 people that are doing 3D printing for G.I. Joe. So I mean, it's really, really boomed in like the last 2 years. But anyway, I was really just kind of coming on so I could give that plug for Kentuckiana, kind of show you guys what we'll do, or some of the stuff. Again, this is just a little snippet. This is not even the complete set. This is just a small part of it. So can't really say too much more else about what it is. I'll send a picture over to you as far as the big Spy Island here, so you can kind of put that up for everybody as well.
Are you still going to be selling your other backpacks and things like that you made in the past shows, or was that just strictly?
Yeah,
okay,
no,
cool.
I'll be at a booth selling. My son Clayton will be joining me down in. He'll be joining me in Kentuckiana. I don't know whether he'll be joining me at Joanna in August, but gotcha. No, I've got booth space, and I'll be set up to sell my product there as well. So,
and once again, the Kentuckiana show is the Toy Expo, July 29th.
Yeah,
Shepherdsville, Kentucky.
Yep, and it's all new place from where it was before. So so definitely check that out. It's a big, it's a lot bigger than the hotel that he's been doing it in for the last several years, which I've been going for a long time to that, and I mean, it's just a great time. Oh, a couple of other things, just to name drop again, Daryl DePriest has been coming to Kentuckiana several times now for about the last year, both in January as far for the winter show as well as the summer show in July, and this year joining us as well, another G.I. Joe legend, James D. Simone, is also going to be at the Kentuckiana G.I. Joe show. So if you have never met James, I went to and I can be I'm proud to say that I was a dealer at James D. Simone's Annapolis show many years ago in I think that was in like 1999 on the down in Annapolis. That was awesome. I was also on his show when he did it. He went back into New York City on the I think that's the USS Intrepid, where he did another show there, and I was a dealer with James at that time too. Actually, I'm sorry, his Annapolis show was in 1997, and he went at night. I think it was 1999 when he went back to the Intrepid, because I was also on the Intrepid show in 1994 when they released those 30th anniversary 12-inch G.I. Joe. So, hey, raise your hand and let everybody else know if you were at the 1994 convention on the USS Intrepid. So, not to date myself, but I've had this passion for G.I. Joe for quite a while. So,
hell yeah, brother.
Wow.
Glad you could join us tonight.
Awesome.
So we'll see Austin and Brad at the same show, yeah? If we go to Kentucky.
Yeah, I'll see them both too. I'm excited.
Unless we see you first.
Yes.
This is true.
We can line up some more of your friends to be more guests on my show for future.
Hey, I want to show you guys a couple of more rough interior pages from that preview issue I was telling you about that we were working on originally.
Okay.
So here is the opening page to the show. This is a rough page by Stephen Butler, if you guys can see this. So in this page, the Gore has just escaped captivity, and the Joes are trying to find him. And that opens up the comic.
Cool. Very old school Marvel.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think you're all going to dig this page, because this page just has a little bit of everything. It has, oh my God, it has the Gore, it has the Rocket Command Center, the helipax, the seaplane.
Holy cow.
Look at that.
You're going to have to put that closer and slower, man, because you got to pick out all the stuff in that. Wow.
Yeah, that's busy.
Nice.
That's Stephen Butler at his best, man. And again, this is just a rough. He's like, hey, I'm going to throw these pages together to show them to you, see what you think.
Look at that.
See,
Wow.
command center right in the middle.
Dude, look at the gore. It's
Yeah.
right in the middle. Yeah.
See the Avenger Pursuit
You
craft.
see the Terrans in the bottom?
Yeah.
Those like Triceratops monster things they came out with.
Yep.
So
Glad to see that.
one other thing that I wanted to discuss real quick, because I'm sure you guys want to talk about other things. So when everybody was just coming at me from all angles with this whole, are you getting the license for a real American hero? You need to hire this guy. You need to do this. You need to do that. One of the things that everybody just bombarded me with was Larry Hama. Now, everybody in the Joe community knows who Larry is. I mean, his name is synonymous with G.I. Joe.
Sure.
I think on the level that Sean Connery is synonymous with James Bond. I really believe that, So I reached out to Larry Hama. And I asked Larry Hama if he wanted to be involved in Super Joe. And he actually gave me a call on Friday.
Wow.
And we had a nice long conversation about it. And, I can't say that anything is definite, just if you're a praying man, pray for me. if you're a pagan, cross your fingers, right? But, the nice thing is that he returned my email. He was an incredibly genuine human being, really friendly.
Dude, that's awesome.
He has a ton of stuff on his plate, including a few surprises that he made me promise that I couldn't reveal. And we're going to try to get Larry involved in this project, preferably on the writing side or editing side, and possibly on the art side, maybe doing a cover or something like that. But again, we're in the initial phase of this whole thing. So what I did was I took the liberty, and this is one of the reasons why Larry called me. Hopefully you can see this on my computer. But Paul, hold up your poster really quick.
Oh, my poster? Yep.
Hold up your poster that I sent you. Okay. Now focus in on the Super Joe logo. Pull it down a little bit. I'm gonna put up mine, and I'm gonna ask you guys to tell me what's the difference.
Larry Hama.
Oh,
yeah.
Larry Hama presents.
Yep.
that's awesome.
So I sent him this email saying, "Hey, doesn't this have a nice ring to it?" So
Larry Hama presents
Super Joe Unlimited.
Robert, and I can see you smirking, man. You're just like smiling.
I like that,
dude. That's
got a nice ring to it.
Of it.
You know what? The nice thing was that it got him to call me, and we had a really nice conversation. And honestly, if I could use that title, if he said, "Yeah, let's get together, let's do this," and go ahead and call it that, I'd call it that in a heartbeat. So my plan is to take this down to Joe Fest in Augusta, Georgia, in a couple weeks, and have him autograph it for me, and we can do a picture together with it. And hopefully by then we'll be celebrating a relationship. But again, pagans, knock on wood, cross your fingers. Godly men, say a prayer, light a candle. But again, Larry, whether he wants it to be this way or not, his name is synonymous with G.I. Joe.
Sure.
When I went to social media with that cover and people thought I was getting the Real American Hero license, everybody was like, "You better have Larry Hama writing. You better not leave Larry Hama out. Larry Hama is G.I. Joe." You can go back and look at the Twitter chains. There was venom being spewed, man. These people were hot. And you know what? I can't say I blame him. I don't know. And I could rack my brain. You could say Neil Adams and Batman, but then you could say a lot of guys with Batman. But Larry Hama and G.I. Joe, who else is tied together so much than those two?
Yeah.
Robert, can you think of anybody?
No. You're right. I
can't either. I think they have the biggest connection. Maybe like McFarlane and Spawn.
Exactly.
Maybe that would be something similar. But I can't think of DC or Marvel, because when you think about over time, I know, your opening question was about what was your favorite comic book when you were a kid. Mine was the George Perez run on the Avengers. But again, that didn't last a super long time. Larry Hama's been doing G.I. Joe for close to 40 years.
Right.
John
Almost
Byrne had a great
exclusively.
run on Superman. He had a great run on Fantastic Four. He had a great run on X-Men. But so did a lot of other guys.
Yeah,
So,
that was his baby.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw him recently at Amazing Comic Con over here in Las Vegas, and just about everybody that was coming up to him for a signature had G.I. Joe material.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And it's funny. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Let me grab something else real quick.
Right on.
And one of the ones everyone wants signed is the silent interlude,
Right.
the one that has no words.
This is the
You
one
know
I
the story
want.
behind that one?
Yeah.
That's nice.
This is G.I. Joe #1. This is the Treasury edition.
Yep.
So this was the last Treasury edition that Marvel produced in the 80s until they started doing things with Alex Ross later on. But this was really their last one. And all they did was take issue #1 of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, and blow it up into this book.
That's right.
There's nothing different about it from issue #1 other than its size.
Correct.
So I'm taking this down to get autographed as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man.
Amazing.
This has been a lot of fun, man. I mean, this
We're already over an hour, and we didn't get to play a game. And Curry was here, and Austin, and shit, man.
we can play games. Hey, listen.
I only got one question. I list of 20, but that's okay.
Hey, Paul, did you get some of those pictures that I sent over to you?
You just did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't check the email, but I'm sure I got them.
Hey, I want to plug my all-time favorite toy from childhood really quick.
Right on.
That
that was one of my questions.
The G.I. Joe Adventure Team Skyhawk.
Oh yeah, I have that.
I passed up on a couple in my adult life. I really want to get one in the box, but it was that hang glider kite you'd put G.I. Joe in and fly it. And I remember my father took me to the old 5 and Dime, and we bought it. It might have been $7.99, $9.99, which back in like 1974 was a lot of money.
Yep.
My father was like $10 for a kite. What are you talking about? And again, I grew up in the near west suburbs of Chicago, so all of the houses backed up to an alley. We all had alleys, which when you build suburbs outside of cities, there are no such things as alleys or gangways or anything like that. So I remember running down the alley with my dad trying to get this freaking kite and this 3-pound action figure up in the air. It was impossible. But you know what? When you lose your best friend from your childhood, like your dad, those are the things you hold on to. And now it's like, man, I really wish I still had that thing, and I have to find it. So you guys and your listeners, anybody who's out there who has a Skyhawk for me from an Adventure Team, please.
I still don't have one.
Had it.
It's hard to find them intact.
Brad Curry will print you one up tomorrow. He'll have it printed up for you.
Yeah, I do have one, and mine's in the box, but I'm not letting it go.
Yeah. Now mine crashed and burned so many times because I was determined to have that sucker fly.
Yeah.
And nope, I kind of beat the piss out of that one. And
that's why it's so rare, because when they crash, they will break.
Yeah, and it was all.
And that plastic was pretty narrow diameter plastic too. It wasn't like it was real thick or heavy duty. So
exactly.
Yeah, and all the balsa wood little dowels that went through it. Yeah, it was determined to die, that poor thing. But
wow, they actually used
you just find the kite part though. That's what you need.
Yeah, there was wood. There was wood that was I believe that was
Yep.
Yeah.
There's wood dials in it.
Wow. See, I never
Yeah.
had one, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I passed up one on eBay a number of years ago. It was $100. Buy it now. Mint in the
Wow.
box. It was years
Yeah.
ago. I could have had it, and I was like, I'm gonna pass. I don't know why I passed. I regret it.
Yeah.
Been there multiple times over.
Yeah, all of us, right?
Yep.
All of
Well,
us.
gentlemen, we are over an hour. I wanted to keep this to an hour, but Austin, we might have to have you back on again, like we did Brad Curry, and do another one with you, man.
You got a couple final plugs really quick. You can
Yep, I was
find
going to just tell you that. That's your
Yeah,
show.
you can find us on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, under Power Comics Inc. That's the best way to find us. We have a Facebook group. We have a Facebook page. Also, look for us getting the crowdfunding launched on June 8th. It's going to go from June 8th, right before Joe Fest, to around second week in July, like I think Tuesday, the 11th of July. So right after DFW. So hopefully we're going to bookend both of those shows. And hopefully by then we've got some more people that we can announce on our team, some more celebrity artists and writers and creative people. And we really appreciate your support. Thanks, you.
Brother. Brad, you want to give anything else about the Kentuckiana or?
Just keep looking for all of our stuff. You can check out my Facebook page. I'm copying stuff over on Be Active Toys' Facebook page. Of course, Steve's with the Kentuckiana G.I. Joe show. Greg, I'm at Cotswold. I'm sure he's going to be doing some stuff and putting some stuff through his newsletter and everything. I think Kentuckiana is the next show coming up, or no, I guess the next show coming up is the Dallas show, but you definitely want to be attending these shows this summer. I mean, it is great to just get to the shows that are in your local area, or even to travel. You can make a travel event out of it. It's always a fun time. It's always good to get together with and meet other Joe Bros and just talk and see all the stuff. And of course, the deals that are had that you can find and buy are great. Of course, we all know the rare stuff. Those of us have been collecting for a long time. We all know what's rare stuff, and usually which other Joe guy is going after that stuff. So there's a little friendly rivalry to try to beat that other guy to that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's just great to get to those shows and keep looking. I will keep posting some of the previews as we kind of tease everybody a little bit with all of the stuff that we're putting together for that Kentuckiana G.I. Joe show.
Yep. I will be at the Kentuckiana this year, actually. And Angelo, you said you're going to which one in Atlanta?
Going to Joe Lana.
You're going to Joe Lana. All right. So you'll be signing autographs there. I'll be signing autographs at Kentuckiana.
Hey, Paul, I did send those through the messenger. I don't know, were you ever able to get that to kind of show the Spy Island?
Yeah, I just can't pull it up on here, though. That's the only thing.
You can't pull it up.
No.
So
I did get them, though. I do see them in my messenger. I'll have to do a promo just for those for you guys. Actually, you know what? In the near future, if we can get somebody before July from the to do a little promo too, that'd be cool.
So, all right. So I'll talk to the guys and let them know, and
get them on the show.
We're definitely wanting to promote the show, and there's definitely a lot that's going to be going on and happening for it.
Oh yeah, a lot of and we'll see Austin.
Yes, you will.
With this.
Good deal.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Hopefully we have a well-funded crowdfunding campaign that we can announce at the Kentuckiana show. Looking forward to it.
Yep. Hey, I want to thank everybody for tonight. Thanks for chatting in, and guys, have a great week.
Yeah, great show. Great show.
Nice to see you guys again.
You too. Thanks for having me on again.
God bless.
Greg, I feel bad you didn't get to ask questions, buddy.
It's okay. There's always next time.
Yeah.
Greg was soaking it all in.